Hi, I'm Deb Walniak, Executive Director here at Great Marriages in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. And I'm here in studio with Sally and Eldon Isley. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, you are mentors at Great Marriages, is that right?
We are.
That's correct.
Right. How long have you been mentoring?
Probably 6, 7 years.
7 years at least, yeah.
So probably old pros at this point?
Hopefully.
I think a lot of people really admire the work that you both do at Great Marriages. How many couples do you think you've probably mentored in that time frame, if you had to guess?
Probably 3 or 4 a year at least.
Well, at least, yeah, probably 20 couples at least, 20,
Yeah.
maybe more than that. At
Yeah.
times we had 3, and mostly it's 1
Right,
at a time. But
right. And for some of those that are new to this show and trying to understand more about Great Marriages, what is the mentoring program? What does it do?
It helps them get over the rough parts in their marriage because marriages work and there's times in everybody's marriage where we just want to throw the towel in.
Yeah.
And Great Marriages, when we mentor couples, we show them how important it's not to throw that towel in, but that everybody has hard times at different points in their marriage and just how to navigate that and make it a better relationship than it is at that point.
Right, right.
to me, it's communication. It's understanding each other, learning how to communicate with one another to make your marriage stronger, and understand each other. It's the communication. If you don't understand the other person's feelings, it's hard to communicate.
Yeah.
And my wife and I, Sally, we went through that a few times. We're not perfect couple. We may look like that, but we're really not. We've hit our struggles. We've learned a lot by being mentors, and through that we strengthen our marriage also.
Yeah.
And when Sally talked to me first about being a mentor, I said, she said she's going to training in Milwaukee for this mentoring, and I said, well, I don't think I'm interested. And I thought, Lord, give me a flight. I'm a pilot. Give me a flight on that day. I really don't want to go. Well, the Lord had his way. He didn't give me a flight that day. So I went to Milwaukee with my wife. By the end of the day, I was excited and thrilled of what we could do to help other marriages. And it's been a real a great time of learning and mentoring and bringing marriages back together. And that's what this program is all about. Keeping families together is very important to us, and we really enjoy doing it.
Yeah, and one of the the pieces that we have as a prerequisite for Great Marriages is to be married at least 20 years. Now, how long have you been married?
It'll be
You remember?
38 years next month. Yeah, less than a month, it'll be 38 years.
Oh, congratulations, that's wonderful. And you're bringing that expertise and really a seasoned life, because as you say, you've had different times in your life you've learned from. So let's rewind the clock a little bit. Let's go all the way back. How did you meet?
Well, at the time we met, Eldon happened to be dating my sister. They both happened to be going through a divorce, and Eldon was on a bowling league with his ex-wife, and because they happened to be going through a divorce, she didn't bowl with him anymore.
Right.
So one of the other partners on the team said, oh, my girlfriend's going through a divorce, I'll see if she'll bowl with you. So my sister ended up bowling with Eldon, and they hung out, and I met him and kind of took over and started dating and ended up getting married.
Where did you meet me?
At the bowling alley.
Oh, yes.
Oh, see, that's so good. Casual environment, yes. But that's something, too, that that even you said your sister absolutely supported you two as a couple as you moved on together. Now, you have a background in aviation. Is that right, Eldon?
That's correct.
Tell us how that came about.
Well, 10 years old, I took my first airplane ride. I begged my brother to take me to the airport. I always wanted to fly, and so at 10 years old, I said, I'm going to be a pilot someday after I took the ride. And when I graduated from high school in 1957, that next summer, I started taking flying lessons in 1958. So be 56 years in July, and I've been flying for that long, doing flight instruction, corporate flying, semi-retired from the corporate flying, ended up taking over the flight school at the Sheboygan Airport, teaching local people how to fly, and also now involved in Lakeland College flight program, and I am the assistant instructor for that program, and the college program has got 16 students right now in flight training, and we're going to have 26 to 30 next fall. So my retirement has gotten very busy. I love flying, I love doing it, so that's why I'm there.
That's so great. And we appreciate you also volunteering your time with Great Marriages, which is good. You know, one thing I also like about you as a couple is you're pretty brutally honest. You mean, you're honest with the people that you mentor, but you're even honest, you know, with me as we were chatting. You have a little bit of history even before you were married that might surprise some people.
Right. When we started dating, we ended up living together for about maybe a little bit less than a year, and I highly regret that.
Really?
I was not raised that way, and I just at that time threw my faith out the door. Even though I knew it was wrong, we did live together, but after a few months, I'm like, I'm not going to do this. You know, I don't want to do this anymore. So either let's get married now, or we're not going to be together.
Yeah. So
And we knew that we would. I mean, when we first met, it was noted that we would be married.
Yeah.
You know, and so we just pushed that date up so that it would happen. But as the years has gone on, and I looked at relationships where we're at, and just, you know, thriving into books and learning is, you know, the living together. And I had a conversation with somebody last winter about, yeah, we bought a house together, we're going to get married next September. And I said, actually, it's best not to live together. And she goes, really? She goes, I figured that way you get to know each other and know each other's habit, and it'll be even better. I said, no, the stats prove that your communication is not as good, your sex life is not as good. There's just a lot of things that are detrimental to living together before you get married. So that's why it's better to have the separate homes, do the premarital counseling, and then on the wedding day, move in together.
If somebody watching this is actually in a situation where they're cohabitating before marriage, or maybe they've even talked about marriage, what advice would you give them?
First of all, to come to Great Marriages and go through the mentoring program, because it is great. It's not just for marriages that are struggling, it's for marriages that want to stay on track. It's for premarital counseling also. We did work with a couple, they weren't even engaged. They were trying to figure out if they were even right for each other.
Right.
Down the road, they did get married, and now they have a family, and they're doing wonderful.
Isn't that amazing?
So.
Yeah.
What's exciting about it is yesterday we just met with the wife and their little daughter, and they're very happily married. They're glad they went through the mentoring. They've told us different times that they are so happy that they went through that. At the time, I thought perhaps they're not going to be meant for each other.
Right.
She wanted to be in the mission field. He has a profession that he's involved in, and he wanted to do it later on in years. But they did come together, and it's working out beautiful, and I think their second child's on the way, and they're really an exciting couple.
Wow, that is really great. And sometimes when you take the time to invest in your relationship now and sift through some of the hard stuff, you get some of the junk out of the way. You know what I mean? And start to grow really good growth and good roots. So thank you for being honest about that. Then there was the wedding in the plane. I mean, here we are, aviation expert, right? And you really brought that personal side to your wedding and had gotten married in a plane, right?
We did.
Yes, we did. And she wasn't sure about it at first. Sally was thinking of getting married in an airplane, but I said, well, you know, I'm busy flying. Maybe just come along on a trip and we can get this done. However, we did get married in an airplane, and the gal I dated prior to Sally, she was maid of honor.
My sister was maid of honor.
That's right. That's right.
So we are one happy family. And,
Yeah.
We're very
but
close.
yeah, we did get married back in the 70s,
Yeah.
and
Eldon had 2 daughters. They were 5 and 7 when I met them, and I think they were 7 and 9 when we got married, somewhere around there. So,
And they're so cute. I was guessing 70s due to the dress. In fact, we're showing some of this as we're talking so people can kind of see. Was that out of Sheboygan Airport?
no, that was out of Beloit Airport, down in Beloit, Wisconsin.
That's
I
right.
was running a charter service flight school, maintenance base at Beloit Airport at the time,
Yeah.
and that's where we ended up borrowing an airplane and getting married.
Yeah,
We kept the cost down.
that's smart. I'm guessing, and then went out to dinner afterward, hopefully.
That's right.
That's right. And this picture here is one that we'll show closer on camera, but this has your family in it too.
correct.
doesn't
Yep. Everybody's there besides one. It's Eldon, myself. Right behind me is the oldest boy that we raised. He was 11 years old when he came to live with us. Eldon's youngest daughter, and Jennifer, and then our son Scott and his wife Katie, who at the moment live in California, moving to Bozeman, Montana. Our oldest son, Randy, he's a pilot in New York. And then Eldon's oldest daughter, Missy, and her husband, Jim, and they live down in the Kenosha area.
Oh, wow.
Jennifer, my youngest daughter there, is a massage therapist in Green Bay. She does some of the Packer players, but she's selling her business on the 1st of May, moving to Hawaii to start a new practice out there.
Oh, gee, that's got to be rough.
Well, I told her to have a big house because if the winter is like this winter, we'll all be out there
Oh,
next
this
winter.
is, oh, that's true.
Yes.
Lots of visitors.
Yeah.
Give me her address. I'd like to come
I'll
visit.
do that.
Yeah, and if you'd like to fly, I can make some arrangements.
We can grab a jet.
That's right.
We can grab a jet somewhere and we can go. All right?
No
We'll
problem.
have to work on that. See, there's lots of adventures. So when you look back at your life and you have such a wonderful family, what are some of the highlights that you recall from raising children and going through all the different seasons? Was there anything that stood out for you?
Well, I think I traveled a lot when I was flying, and I give a lot of credit, all the credit to my wife. Raising the children while I was gone was not an easy program. She stuck with me, and thankfully you did that. But the thing is, I travel a lot. I was able to take my family on trips. Some of our family highlights, we used to go skiing out west and up in Canada. We skied a lot of the western states. We took trips to the islands and spent some really nice times in the Aruba and St. Martin's and Caymans, many of the islands. Those are real highlights that I know the children really remember, and they talk about a lot, about these were the good days, you know.
Yeah.
So, but as I say, I was gone a lot. I worked for a movie producer, flew for a movie producer out of Chicago, and I spent a lot of time in California, maybe almost every other week for
Wow.
quite a few years. And Sally had the tough job. She was raising the children, and she did a good job. It was just, I kind of regret I wasn't there for the kids' activities. That was the biggest thing, being a pilot, a corporate pilot. You are gone, and you will miss out on a lot of the special events. She was to everything. Everything our kids did, the 2 boys we raised, every event they had, she was there for them.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And like you said, I totally agree. We had a lot of great vacations so-called on his bosses. If there was room in the airplane, we got to go with him.
Wow.
And, you know, pay for the room, whatever entertainment we had, we paid on our own. But we did a lot of traveling, and I love that. The highlights were, you know, doing them ski trips. We had a trip over to Hawaii, you know, and our boys, our boys at that time just said, you know, as we talk back, you know, that was probably the best vacation that they had. You know, but the hard times too, like he said, when he's gone and the sump pump doesn't work and the basement is flooded and this or that breaks and I have to take care of it and he's not there. So it's hard, but it's that commitment to stay there and work it through, you know, when things, you know, are hard. 14 years into our marriage, while he was, ended up while he was flying out of Chicago for this movie producer, and at that time it was overwhelming, and I was just done, you know. When he was gone, which was a lot, and then when he was home, he was just wasn't there emotionally. Yeah. And I was ready to throw the towel in. Yeah. So I did a lot of praying, talked to our pastor, and I chose, you know, what did my wedding vows say? You know, plus what does God think? You know, God hates divorce. So I just did a lot of crying and praying and thinking it through. What is the future of my life? What's the future of his life and our children's life? So I chose just to work on it, and I'm so glad I did. Yeah. You know, it would have been easier to throw it in, but I think the years down the road would have been not the quality that we had. Yeah. You know, if we would not have stayed together. And then the two boys that we raised, they would have never been able to come, you know, and live with us. Where would they be? I don't know. Yeah. You know.
So, out of curiosity, when you realized that there was like a critical point where you were making a decision on this, did you eventually talk to somebody together and then kind of work on your marriage, or did you work it out on your own? I'm just curious.
I worked it out on my own.
I really didn't know too much about what was going on.
That was a lack of communication, because I was not a good communicator. Right. He was gone so much. Yeah. So when he was home, I didn't want to dump on him. Ah. So I just stuffed it. Yes. So one day, then I finally just let it all out, felt much better, and then learned that I still have to talk to him. Yes. When it happens. I need to talk to him within a day or two. Yes. And instead of stuffing it. Right. And if you look at it today, what you know today as mentors, if you could coach yourself back then, would that be one of the pieces of advice you would give yourself? Is just, hey, you gotta communicate your concern. Absolutely. Yeah. Need to communicate. We need to know each other's love languages. Whoever we mentor, we tell them it's homework. Of course, we don't enforce it, but to read the 5 love languages. We need to know what each other's love language is to be able to fill each other's love tank. Yes, exactly. The other book that I love is The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work. A while back, we were driving a long distance, and so I pulled that book out and I started asking questions. And I learned things about him that I had not known, you know, after 30-some years of marriage. So the 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work helps open up that communication so we get to know each other. Continue to get to know each other. That's right. And some people may or may not know that you have taught some of those classes on behalf of great marriages in the past, and we hope to continue doing that in the future. Hello, I'm pulling your arm. No problem. Yeah, you're very, very helpful in that area, both of you are. So here you are coming along to an anniversary. What do you think like the next 30-some years look like? I mean, that's when you start thinking about time, and I mean, who knows how long we have on Earth, but when you look forward, what kind of things do you see?
Well, there's one thing about getting older that I do not worry about. I figure God's going to keep me here as long as he wants me here, and then when he wants me, he'll take me. So I don't worry about age, birthdays, whatever. I'm just thankful to God that I have been healthy. I'm able to continue working, continue doing what I love doing, and so 37 more or whatever it is, but I'm not one that dwells on that.
No, he's the Energizer Bunny. He just keeps going and going, and he's like, well, okay, so I'm getting old. It doesn't matter, you know, as long as I'm healthy and love my life. Yeah. For me, I know before we
Well, my wife is.
Oh,
Before we moved here in '82, you know, and when we were early married, I wondered what the next 10 years would bring, you know. And now at this age, with our kids grown, and our youngest son at the moment is in California, he and his wife, and our grandbaby, who's just over a year, they will be moving, and they want us to be by them, to be grandparents.
Aw.
I would have been gone last year. He's like, I'm not moving to California. Well, he finally agreed to move to California, and now they're moving to Bozeman, Montana.
oh my.
So he's like, I'm not moving from cold to cold. And I'm like, why not? It's cold.
Cold is cold.
So we don't know. And right now, I just need to rest in what God has for us.
Right.
You know, if He doesn't want us there, that He'll fill my heart with contentment to be here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you certainly have full lives here, which is also really neat because you're taking your lives and pouring yourself into others as you invest in each other as well, which is really encouraging. Okay, so I've asked a couple other couples this question, and I'm curious to know what your answer is. Are you the same or different?
From when?
Oh, well, I would
Yesterday?
say in personality. Like from the time you started dating or now, when you met, did you think you were alike and that's what attracted you to each other? Or were you different? And if so, fast forward the clock, the same question for now.
Well, when I think about when I first met Sally, and today her smile's the same. I look at her as similar to what I looked at her in the youth. I mean, she's an attractive young lady, and I'm a little older, but I always tell people we're the same age, but I've aged a little more. I adore as I did back then.
Yeah.
And I think as we go through life, we need to tell each other that. We don't very often. We take each other for granted. But I don't feel much different about her than I did then.
Yeah.
I think Eldon's the same. He's always been high energy level and just very positive and upbeat. For me, I was much more immature and didn't know a whole lot. And in that way, I've grown immensely through the years. For me to do something like this, 30 years ago, there's no way. You know, I would not have had the confidence to sit here and talk. I was very, very shy.
Yeah.
Moving to Plymouth with nobody, no family around, really brought me out of my shell, which was very, very hard, but a good thing.
Yeah.
Personality-wise, still the same, loving, caring, and concern for family and people.
Yeah, exactly.
And one thing I admire about Sally, she's on a school board for quite a few years, and all the work she goes through and all the involvement she is and how she takes that job very seriously, I really admire her for that because I don't think that I could go there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. She has specific gifts and talents that she uses. That's great. And so do you, which is also neat too. Yeah, you're both high achieving people. At least that's what I'm seeing. So, what would you give as any advice for couples that might be experiencing some stress right now? I'm kind of thinking about those that are married 7 to 10 years, maybe have 1 or 2 children, and are feeling kind of that strain of, I don't know if I know this person anymore. What do I do? What would you talk to them about?
Well, besides going through the mentoring program, that's number one, to learn, because we take them through the stages, all different stages of how to communicate.
Yes.
The 5 love languages. And to tell them this is not unusual. Yes, marriage with young children is hard. It's very hard. But are you going to be committed? That's number one. You have to agree on both sides to be committed.
Yeah.
And then take time for yourself. Date one another.
And the other thing of marriages that we've mentored at that time period in their life, generally it's a financial thing which puts stress on the marriage. Get your finances in order, and there's just some of the things that you can do to do that. get your differences worked out, you know, with, like I say, with the mentoring. But I've seen that I think most people at the 10-year, 7 to 10, they're really struggling with finances, you know, they got house payments, they got car payments, they got all kinds of payments, and you really have to kind of make life a little simpler and maybe get rid of some of these things you can't afford at this time. And
Yeah.
I think the financial thing is what I've seen the most troubling.
Right. Well, and we just went in the last 2 or 3 years through a financial downturn in this country. We're on the uptick, which is great. Jobs are coming back, homes are selling now, and things like that. But there was really a lull there that put additional strain on people, no matter what, you know, age they were married or how long.
Sure.
So that's interesting too.
There was 3 years, there was no flying. He had no work. I mean, we lived on about 25% of what he used to make, you know?
Wow.
So we had a lot of communicating to do about how are we going to actually spend that money.
Yeah.
You mean like get a job?
No, that's a big thing. And so, you know, that's another question for a couple maybe that's been married 20, 30 years. You know, they're thinking we should have this together. Why are we still experiencing this? What do you say to them?
Well, I think a lot of us is self-inflicted.
Oh, there you go.
That's putting it maybe not real mildly, but that is usually the case. I know it wasn't I'm the spender, she's the saver.
Yeah.
So you need to learn how to, you know, good times, bad times, put some stuff away, money away in the good times, and the bad times come, you know, and they talk about 3 months savings and things like that. We've never done that. We're about there now, but we, you know, things we learned about, maybe haven't carried out, but financially everything's good. It's just a matter of keeping it that way.
Yeah, sometimes we wish we knew what we knew now back then, and how different we probably would live our lives in some ways as well.
The things that people think that, oh, I need, you know, it's like,
right now.
really?
Yeah.
You know? So you have to choose and talk about what and how to spend the money.
Yes, priorities.
And to keep you out of debt.
Right.
It's like one couple, they said, well, we don't know if we should sell, we want to buy this new snowmobile. It's struggling financially. We get this car payment, the house, and the snowmobile, and finally, after mentoring, they sold off the snowmobile. They started to eliminate things that was really not a need, it was a want. And they got their act together, they got their finances together, and it's really great to see. And this is what great marriage is about also.
It's true. And I'm going to just toss it back to the camera here just to let the audience know that you are absolutely invited to join us at Great Marriages. If you're thinking about trying out our mentoring program, we encourage you to call our number, 920-783-6142. Our website is www.great-marriages.org. Please come and visit us. If you'd like to tour our library, we have resources available to you. The books that were mentioned today are there. And we'd love to chat with you just a little more to see where you're at and encourage you in your marriage. Thanks for joining us.